Hi, I'm Representative Kevin Scully from Ward 6 in Nashua, and this is The People's View. Today, I have a very interesting person that I want you all to get to know a little bit better. His name is Avalon Lewis. Avalon, welcome to the show.
Pleased to meet you, Kevin.
Yeah.
Well, meet you.
Yeah.
We've known each other for
Yeah,
a little
I mean,
while now.
I know you from the Nashua Republican City Committee, and
Yes.
I thought you were a very interesting person, and I was very happy that you said you'd come on and spend some time with me.
Yeah, I thought it would be fun also.
Well, I was hoping, could you begin by telling us a little bit about yourself?
Well, my name is Avalon Lewis. I'm from the Caribbean. That's my home, Barbados specifically. And I moved to the U.S. in 1972. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I know I don't look that old, but I am. But I came here. I lived in New York City, and then I moved to Massachusetts for a while, and then had to get out of Massachusetts, and I moved to New Hampshire, and I've been here since 1984.
Well, I'm an expatriate from Massachusetts too.
Yeah?
I was definitely attracted to the live free or die state.
Yeah.
And I'm very happy. We moved here. It was a great place to raise our children.
Yeah.
And and we both, I think, we worked into activism in politics, and we can talk a little bit about that. But I was going to ask you a question, if I may. Now, obviously, you decided to come to America. It was a voluntary decision. What did America look like to you from Barbados? What were you moving to?
Well, I got to tell you, when I came here to the U.S., everything looked big, huge. A Honda Civic was almost the size of a Cadillac when I got here. That just means that the vehicles back home in Barbados were really small. The streets were enormous when I got here. You take a street like, the Everett Turnpike. I mean, that is huge in comparison to the highways back in Barbados. But I got here and, I kind of acclimated to how things are and things like that. And like I said, I moved here to New Hampshire. But I think one of your questions was about politics.
Well, yeah. All right. Was it economic opportunity? Was that the big driver to get you here to the US?
I don't know. Well, actually, yeah. I came here with my family, with my dad. And yes, it was economically driven. So I was about 16 at the time when I came. So as I grew up, then listening to a number of people talking politics and stuff like that kind of encouraged me to get into it.
Yeah, it's interesting because obviously now you've come into America, you're kind of a blank sheet in terms of where you were politically, and yet you decided to become a Republican. Why did that happen?
Oh, that's a really interesting question. Yeah. My entire family, as a matter of fact, is Democrat.
I've got a couple of my family too, but
I was the type of individual, and this is how Democrats are. The individual that owns a really expensive house, let's say a beach house or maybe an expensive vehicle like a boat or something like that. Mm-hmm. I was the type of person that always thought, wow, that individual has so much money, and I have none. I have to rent an apartment, stuff like that. And I thought how unfair that was. But then as time passed, I begun to notice that the people that have so much happen on two reasons. One, they went to school and educated themselves to get to a certain point in life, and that education costs a lot of money. Mm-hmm. Okay, let's take a doctor. Okay, how long does a doctor have to go to school for? Okay, a long time. I couldn't tell you either, but for a long time. The long and short of the story is that a doctor practicing medicine and stuff like that, making money, then has to pay off those loans.
Yep.
Now in a position where they can make the money because many people are going to them for some kind of medical service, okay? And so they're making the money. And they've earned it.
Mm-hmm.
So they can afford to go out and buy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, two things there. They can afford to buy the stuff, but if they're buying the stuff, they're spending money
Yep.
to support, which support the trickle down theory.
The jobs
It supports
of
jobs
the
and
people
everything.
who built that boat.
Yep. My mouth is getting dry. But so the doctor earn the money, and they thereby can go out and buy what they want. So I began to think that the way I was thinking about who owns what was not right. I had to look at it from a different perspective. And then there were other instances that kind of guide my political philosophy. And then I realized, wow, this is the way I feel about certain things. That's the way I feel about certain things. And it just went on down the road as to my thought pattern, so to speak.
Right.
Now, what got me into politics? Back in, I want to say 93, in the 90s, during the Clinton era, hearing all the politicians argue and stuff like that. And I still didn't know where I actually stood on the political spectrum. I just knew that my family was, they were Democrats. And that was like the foundation for me, as far as being in politics, Democrat. But I found that my thinking really did not match the Democrats'
Their
ideology.
their message.
The ideology.
Yep.
So I started looking at, doing some research to realize what's the difference between the two parties. And then I came to realize that my way of thinking was that of a Republican, not a Democrat.
Right. So you just evolved and you matured and you took it all in. And
I did. Well, most people, they tend to follow, I don't know how to put it, the stream of the family, so to speak. I don't know if that makes any sense. But my dad and they're Republicans, so I'll be a Republican. My mom are Democrats, so I'll be a Democrat. Well, that wasn't my feeling. Okay, that was not me. I thought for myself. And I realized that the way I was thinking, I would love to have the money to go out and buy my favorite toy.
What is that, by the way?
a motorhome.
Ah, okay.
A Class A motorhome.
Okay.
That's my favorite toy. I would love to have the money to go to buy something like that. And then people might be asking the same question. Wow, how can he have that kind of money? Or why would he, having that kind of money, buy something like a motorhome when there's so many other people that are in need?
Well, I do think, as you said, that if people are able to accumulate wealth and then they spend the wealth and put it back into the economy, a lot of people benefit from that.
Exactly. A few years ago, Oprah Winfrey threw $1 million party. Okay, millions of dollars. And people thought, wow, how could she use that money to have a party when there's so many other people in need? The thing about it is, you look at the components, so to speak, that made up that party. And you have DJs, you have food, different types of food. You have, everything that you need. You have vendors that would come into the venue to set it up and stuff like that. So all these different aspects, all these different entities, okay, made money from that $1 million party, as opposed to she or anyone holding on to that money and not spending it.
Right. Well, I think one of the great flaws, I think the Democrat message is very seductive because from my perspective, it plays into envy and pride. And
Yes.
what they were basically saying is those people have something you don't, and you deserve it too.
Yeah.
And the way we're going to give it to you is to take it from them.
Yeah.
And really what it is, it's a situation where you try to pull everybody down. I mean, it seems like you're going to try to raise yourself up, but really what you're doing is pulling people down. Yeah. And you have to come to the realization that it's those movers and shakers, a guy like a Steve Jobs or an Elon Musk, who are these visionaries who create these products and services that people want. And they're giving them that money voluntarily.
Yes,
that's what
exactly.
And so you want to put those people up on pedestals because they're the ones that create the jobs that other people have. Go ahead.
The perfect example is let's take Musk and the Tesla, the car. Okay, he invented it. He has all these cars. Okay. And everybody that wants one of those cars are going to pay him, the $97,000, the $107,000, depending on the level of car that you need. You have 50 people that's going to, let's round it off, $100,000 for each Tesla. You have 100 people out there, and they love the Tesla. They're going to give Elon Musk $100,000 for that car. Now, these people are out of $100,000, but they have a car, and there are 50 of them that's going to give him $100,000. How much is that?
$5 million.
Okay, but he has it. Okay, he has it. And because he worked and designed the car, he's earned it. Democrats look at that and says, well, while he has so much money, he should, give some away. I do not believe in that. If a rich individual wants to help or to be charitable, that's good, great for them. But don't tell me or tell them that they have to give their money away to some charity or to some individual or what have you.
Well, I will tell you, I think the best use of money is to create businesses and jobs, because that's the best economic program for anybody. Because if you have a job and you're able to provide yourself and for your family, you don't need all these government services.
Right.
So I feel sometimes that the Democrats encourage people to go on to these government services because it creates dependency. And then you're dependent upon them, and then they're running the government. You're going to vote for them to put them in. With a real path forward to your happiness is to become an independent person. And so you want, self-sufficient, independent person. So you want to encourage those people to strive and create. And it's like so many people seem to think that the pie is always going to remain the same size. That's not true. The wealth generators create the pie, and it gets larger and larger and larger. So there are pieces for everybody, and we can all do better.
There is. I just think that the individual really should not rely on the government for, having some programs that the government offers is good, but it should be temporarily. It should be a person, because I have used government services, okay? I got a great story about that. But, well, I'll tell it now.
All right.
I needed some government service, welfare of sorts. And I went into the office and I filled out my application. And I wrote on the application 6 months.
That's all you thought you would need.
That's all I needed, just 6 months of assistance. The individual thought that I shouldn't have put that on there. And
Why?
that I could be on not just this one program, but I could be on this other program and this other program. And the individual wouldn't drop it when I kept on saying, I just need one program to assist me for 6 months. And this individual kept on pushing this dependency thing, and he had my application in his hand, okay? So I asked him, I said, let me see the application. He gave it back to me, and I tore it in half. Just tore it, just like what Nancy Pelosi did to President Trump.
Yep.
Yeah, I just tore it in half. And they thought, well, you can't do that. Okay, sue me.
Yeah.
And I just left. So the government programs are great for temporary assistance, not lifetime dependency.
Right. I don't think there's really dignity in that. People don't live up to their true potential if that's all they're going to settle for.
No.
And unfortunately, there does seem to be a big push to get people there, and they won't live their full lives.
Yeah, no.
Which is, I'm hoping, again, so what we try to do, I think, is to encourage that free enterprise, free thinking, risk-taking. You should get a reward if you take the risk and it pays off and you do well.
And that's how Republicans are.
Yep.
Because I used to listen to my one of my uncles talking politics with his friends, and I always thought, wow, this would be great if I could be as conversive with other people so fluidly, fluidly. And I was really impressed with my uncle's ability to talk, although he's talked Democrat politics.
Yeah.
Okay, but I would still like to think that I could do the same thing, just not as a Democrat. And I got into the politics. One individual here in, do you know Charlie Hall?
The name sounds familiar.
Okay, he lives near me, and I used to attend the meetings, the neighborhood, the subcommittees, and he was the one that asked me to run for state office, and I was very impressed by that. Okay, and that's a whole long story which we don't have time to get into.
Yeah.
But I did run, and now.
I remember your signs. I saw them out there.
Oh, there were signs all over the place.
Yep.
But now I am the Ward 7 moderator.
Wow.
Yep, I am. And I'm also the NRCC, or the Nashua Republicans.
City Republican Committee, right? Yeah.
NRCC is the Nashua Republicans City Committee.
Yep.
I am now their vice chairman.
Yeah, I remember that was a very dramatic moment for me. I mean, I was there at that December meeting when they were talking, the state was talking about taking the committee into receivership.
Yep.
And you and John Cawthorn jumped up and said, no, we're going to try to turn this committee around.
Well,
that was something.
The funny thing is, though, at the beginning, we didn't realize that that receivership was the desired avenue, so to speak. We had nobody to continue. We had no board to continue the party.
Right. Oh,
and then that's when John and I thought, we're not gonna, because the way I see receivership, I see that as repossession. You have your house, you trying to make a payment on it, you can't, and then the bank repossesses it. I saw receivership as the state repossessing the party. I hate repossession. I hate it.
Well, I will tell you, at that point, until you two jumped up, it didn't look like anybody was ready to take the risk and put the time and effort into it to turn that committee around.
Now, don't get us wrong. This is still a learning curve for us.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, we're still learning as we go. But, yeah.
No, I think you're, from my perspective, watching this happen, I think you're great, and you have very complementary skill sets. I think you have injected a new dynamism into the committee. We are starting to bring in some new blood here too, aren't we?
Yeah, we are. We have a number of people. March this month was our recruiting month. Okay, so we're bringing in some new people, and we're looking to expand the party. I mean, the Democrats always talk about, everyone is welcome. Okay, and that's another story right there. But yes, everyone is welcome to the Republican Party, and I, as part of the outreach, are trying to recruit more Hispanics to the NRCC. We're trying to recruit more Black people to the NRCC. We're just trying to expand the party and make everyone feel welcome.
Well, I always felt that the Democrats always concentrated on the superficial, which is what's the color of your skin?
Yes.
What's your nationality? What language do you speak? Where I always felt the Republicans concentrated more on the essential, which is what do you believe?
And that is so true. That is so true. But we as individuals are more aligned with the superficial. Oh, I'm a Black person and they welcome me. That's where I'm going.
Right. Well, okay. I mean, again, from my perspective, if you share the common beliefs in terms of what the ideals are, free speech, free enterprise.
Right. Exactly. A little ownership. Deeper below the skin, below the ID politics. Although, we welcome people that pretty much are not dependent on government, people that are free thinkers, things like that. We welcome that type of person, not that I'm going here because I'm Black or Hispanic or what have you, but I'm going there to the Republican Party because we think alike, so to speak.
Right. Well, I think that is very important. And of course, people who know their history know that the Republican Party was the party that actually helped free the slaves.
Yes.
And all of the original elected public officials to the Congress and the Senate, the Black folks that in this country were Republicans.
Yep.
And I see the thing, I think that this has always been the natural home for folks who wanted to be independent people, with dignity, that weren't dependent upon, government or anybody else. And I'm glad to see that it's starting to happen.
There are more Republicans that have done more along inventions and politically and stuff like that, which are not known because the Republican Party generally does not play that ID or that color of the skin perpetuation, so to speak.
Right.
But I just want people to know, I just want Black people to know, listen, come to the Republican Party. Hispanics, listen, come to the Republican Party. Come check us out. Okay, that's all. That's really all I want them to know. That you are welcome. You are welcome.
Right. And we've got the message, I think the correct message, that if people buy into this and we all work together as people with mutual self-interests to try to better our society and our country, we're all going to benefit from that.
Yep.
And that's really what I'm hoping we can do. I don't think we've always been so great with the messaging in terms of getting that out there.
And that's just it. As a matter of fact, I think that we, our Republicans, just hope that individuals would not be seduced by, let's say, ID politics or by the color of their skin, but just think about what this party is. This part, because this is why I became a Republican. Okay, all the thoughts that I have, and as far as what people have, and that they deserve what they have, and a thought pattern like that. And then when I investigated the Republican Party, I thought the Republican Party aligns more with me than the Democrat Party. And that's why I became a Republican. And I would just like other people to do the same thing. The way they think, check out the parties, see which party aligns with your thinking. And that's the party you should join.
Now, in terms of trying to get folks in, I guess, obviously there's some people watching on TV here. So I guess we have our committee meetings. Is that open to folks? Do they have to be?
The committee meetings are closed door meetings. We do welcome guests. We have to know who they are ahead of time. So we do welcome guests. But generally speaking, the Republican meetings, as a matter of fact, I do know for a fact that both meetings, Democrat and, let me change that around. Both meetings, Republicans and Democrats, they are all closed doors.
You need to be like a registered Republican and a registered Democrat
yes,
to be able to
you
come
have
in
to
and
be
do that.
registered with the party
Right.
to be in the meeting, or you can come as a guest.
Right. Okay. But, so I think it seems to be a revitalization of young people coming over now. Are you seeing that in terms of like a generational shift?
I am surprised by the amount of young people we have that are involved in politics, so to speak, especially in the Republican Party. And that's great. That's nice.
Yeah, I also like the fact that we now have a social outreach person, what do they call it, the media, guru that we have. So we're trying to get the message out. We're trying to join the 21st century because I think we have the superior message. We just got to get out there.
Well, I'll tell you, folks, I'm going to be knocking on your doors, okay, asking you to join the Republican Party.
Thank you. I hope you really do. And I really want to thank you for coming to see us today because this
my
was
pleasure.
Really, I'm looking forward to working with you to try to make the Republican Party a success here.
I'll tell you what, this 27 minutes have gone by so quickly because there's so much more that I would like to say, but trying to rush it out.
We'll have you back.
Definitely.
So I'm Kevin Scully, protecting your liberty and your wallet. This has been The People's View. Thank you for watching.